Hey everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to day 4 of Squaretober. As I said last night, I feel like it's going a little faster and a little easier every day for me because my focus is on doing the videos. But I had a question from one of my viewers. She is doing the Squaretober as well. But because there aren't any prompts, she's not always sure how or where to start. So I'm going to give you some suggestions if you're stuck and you're not using prompts. Okay, the first thing I would say is don't try to do something in a big sketchbook or a big piece of paper. That's one of the reasons I really like this 4x4 square. It's enough to do some skill work, but it is not enough that if it really comes out badly, I haven't wasted a bunch of supplies, and I can still use the good supplies and practice on what I would be using normally anyway. So that's the first thing. Do something small. The second thing I would say is figure out what it is you feel like you need to improve on. So for instance, if you don't really know very much about color theory and you want to learn, oh, this is perfect. So you focus on color theory or color mixing. That's one thing you could do, or you could try out a new medium, or you could try out specific techniques in a small scale. Like one of the things that I know that I want to work on, I tend to fall back on stippling whenever I need to shade something, and cross-hatching and the different varieties of cross-hatching are something I haven't experimented with a lot. So that could be a skill I could use as an example. That's a skill in a small space like this that I could work on. So now what about subjects or something if you don't know specifically what to do? My suggestion is, okay, I always go back to geometric things. I'm kind of exploring sacred geometry, so I might start with something like that. Start with a simple seed of life and then alter it and, I don't know, just experiment. Something I'm doing right here, I'm trying to learn how to do more organically, is to overlap and entwine things like limbs or, in nature, whenever you're, the stems and the roots, they entwine and they entangle. And that's something that I have never felt comfortable rendering, or drawing. So that's something I worked on in this little piece here. So you can work on things like that. I also think that the neurographic art is so perfect for people who are just experimenting and learning new media, and you don't really know what to do exactly, but you feel like drawing. I don't know, there's something very cathartic about just allowing what's in your head to flow down your arm, through your wrist, through your hand, through your fingers, and onto paper. There's something very therapeutic about that. So don't discount that if you're starting out as an artist, or you've never, really been into drawing or painting specific things. It's okay to do non-representational art. In fact, it's one of my favorite things to do. Also, within the scaffolding of some sort of geometric or neurographic composition, a lot of us bought some stuff during the pandemic, bought a lot of art supplies. Why not take the time to get out and experiment with those things, whatever they are? I mean, maybe you got some pastels, or maybe you got some acrylic paint or some markers, or even fine liners. One year during the pandemic, I got some fine liners, a set of fine liners for Christmas. And, that's something, anything like that, you can always just take one day and say, okay, today I'm going to experiment with the fine liners I got for Christmas 2 years ago that I haven't touched. So that could also be a really awesome way to spend your time doing one of these challenges. Another thing that I think most artists need to practice on is form and shading and how light and shadows work. So you could set up a small still life, maybe even just one thing, and you could practice the shadows and highlights and the form, making it as three-dimensional as you can. And since it's in such a small little square, hopefully it wouldn't be that intimidating for you. I also think you could take a reference photo of, say, a single flower or something from your garden or a little picture that you've taken. And if you're not if you're not practiced in drawing, you could trace it. And tracing gets a really, really bad rap. And no, I don't think it's what you want to aspire to forever. But I'll tell you something. I used to trace a lot when I was first learning watercolor. And I would take pictures that I took of my mom's garden, and I traced the flowers. And what happened was I did it enough times that I actually began to understand and remember how those flowers are constructed, the way the petals come out of the center. And I found that later on I was able to sort of freehand out of my imagination some of those flowers, like the zinnias. And so don't feel like if you trace something and you're beginning, or even if it's just something you're not familiar with drawing, go ahead and trace it. That doesn't mean you're going to be tracing forever, but you can certainly learn the structure of the object or the life, the flower, or whatever it is you're drawing. It's okay to trace, at least at first, for sure. And if you don't have your own reference photos, you can go to someplace like Pexels, or just Google copyright-free reference photos, and you'll find some. And some of them are free. You just have to give credit to the photographer who took the picture, and I think that's more than fair. And it's actually this whole topic is making me think of what I want to do in one of my next ones. I think I'm going to take a picture, trace it, and paint it so I can show you that process. Anyway, you guys, this is the end of the video. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow in the next video. Bye-bye.